My name is Keri Barnum. I am the marketing director for New Shelves Books, and I am filling in for Amy today for Free Advice Friday. Amy, as you may know, is on her way to New York City for a Day with Amy conference. So, for anyone who's there, have fun. And meanwhile, here we're going to answer some book marketing questions and some publishing questions that we have in the Q&A box or that we have been emailed in. So, let's get started. All right. When purchasing ISBNs, should you also purchase barcodes? I don't recommend that you purchase a barcode, and here's why. They are really, really easy to make for free. If you go to the Lightning Source website and you do a cover generator, they have a series of questions, your ISBN number, your price, and if you fill that out, they'll email you a cover template, and in that cover template is your ISBN barcode. You can also have a price barcode, which I highly recommend for Ingram Spark. Bookstores want a price barcode. So when you do it, you just say yes, you'd like a price barcode, you put in the price, they email you a PDF of the full cover template. And then what you can do is you use the snipping tool to pull out just the barcode, just all the way in the white. And then you take that barcode and you save it as a JPEG. That way you can just insert it anytime you want onto your cover. The first time it may take you a couple of minutes, but generally I can knock these out in 5 minutes. So if you're really not computer savvy, if you just need the help, fine, buy the barcode, but otherwise they are very easy to do on your own. So I certainly recommend looking into that. I know that they can be a little bit pricey. All right, let's get to some email questions. I know that there was a accidental email that went out saying that Free Advice Friday was canceled, so a lot of people emailed their questions in, which is cool. All right, I heard that bookstores like Barnes and Noble only put on their shelves one book by one publisher in one category. Is this true? What is the best way to get your book on the shelves of bookstores if you are with a small publisher, self-publisher, independent imprint? Well, no, that's not true. Because if they only put one book from one publisher in one category on their shelves, that would mean that HarperCollins would have one book, or Penguin would have one book in the children's category. That's crazy. Now, I will say that if you are a small publisher, an independent publisher, they will probably try a very small sample of your book before committing to an entire shelf or anything like that. Actually, for an entire shelf, you'd have to pay a hefty fee, I believe. So generally what it is they try a very small sample. What they will not do is have one publisher take up an entire category. That would not earn them any brownie points with other publishers. They have to spread the love around. So while that's not true, they are also making sure that they have a good range of different publishers and imprints in each category. The best way to get your book into one of those places, for Barnes and Noble, you actually they have a form that you fill out and you send them in. They require that you send in copies of your book, marketing sheets, marketing plans, and then there's also an application, and you physically mail it in to the small press department at Barnes and Noble, and they consider your application. Things that make a difference with the big stores like Barnes and Noble and Books a Million would be proven sales, what your sales have already been, your marketing plan. If you are actively marketing your book and you are generating your own press that would drive people to their stores, they're more likely to consider your book on their shelves. And finally, when they're doing this, they are looking for someone who has marketing budget to spend in their store, because those end caps, they aren't free. Generally, you pay a hefty fee to get on those end caps. So if you are asking to be in their stores, they're looking for someone who's not just going to sit on their shelves, but who's going to pay, in essence, to market in their store and to get on their end caps, to get on their special tables. So that's all things that they're looking for. If you are going to small independent bookstores, it's a little bit different. Again, they are looking for someone who is going to market their own book and drive sales to the store. So you have to prove that you are doing things. Are you blogging? Are you getting on the radio? Are you actively putting their logo on your website because they are carrying your book? Are you driving sales to them? Um, they're also looking for a very professional looking book. They want to make sure that you have a price barcode. Does your book come from a wholesaler like Ingram? And do you have the proper discount set up? You need to offer bookstores a 40% discount, which means if you're printing through Ingram Spark, you have to set your discount at a 55%. They're also looking for a book that's returnable. That way, if they do purchase your book and put it on their shelves and it doesn't sell, they are not completely out of, they haven't lost that money. So there are things that you can do to boost your sales to bookstores, and most of it is proving that you want to partner with them. You're not just asking them to take up space on their shelves, which is very limited and very precious, but that you are going to ask them to take up space and drive sales to them. You are going to push people to their store, which will increase their bottom line and your bottom line. All right, another question coming up here. Oh, not that one. All right, that one's answered. All right, I submitted a couple questions. Let's see. Oh, this is Wendy. All right, Wendy, here's one of your questions. Where do I put second edition on the copyright page? Somehow I am going to squeeze it in, not much room. You want to put the edition, if you're putting second edition, it would go right above your ISBN. So where you list your ISBNs for the paperback, the hardcover, the ebook, kind of in the middle of the copyright page usually, second edition goes right on top of that. All right, and this one, all right, a question about revised versus second edition. I'm not revising 40% of my book, and I'm not adding 20% for a second edition. I am reformatting it to a 5.5 by 8.5, which makes it a second edition, correct? Yes, when you change your trim size, it is a second edition. When you have a new ISBN, it is a second edition. Second edition simply means that it's being put out with a new ISBN. It's being put out as a new book. Now, if you're revising your book, then that is different. That's a revised second edition. But a second edition is anytime you are putting a new ISBN on that book, because it's not the same thing. People are looking for a different ISBN, even though it's the same book. Your copyright dates are as follows: 2016 with Amazon's number, 2019 with your ISBN, and 2020 with your ISBN at the new trim size. Do I list them all or just 2020? You do not list all your copyrights. You list your most current copyright. Just 2020 with the current ISBN is plenty. You do not need to go back and list all the way back. Just the most current one is just fine. Should you publish your book in a 5.5 by 8.5 as a hardback? I've listed a hardback ISBN, but I don't have one through Ingram Spark, and now I'm wondering if I need one. I'm assuming I should take out the ISBN on the CIP block until I have one if I decide to do so. Also, do I list all the ISBNs that have ever been on the book or just the book's ISBN? So when you are doing a CIP, PCIP, the library catalog block, you just want the current edition ISBNs. You do not need all of your ISBNs, just your current editions. And when you're doing a hardback, the hardcover most popular size, especially in the self-help kind of arena, is a 6x9. So 6x9 for hardcover, 5.5 by 8.5 for paperback is perfect. It's fine if you do a hardcover in 5.5 by 8.5, but the most popular is 6x9. So if you've already got that going or you are able to get the formatting like that, that's what I would recommend. Generally, your hardcover is just a skosh bigger than your paperback. And I think I answered all of that. You only need your current ISBNs and you should be good to go. All right. Hi, Denise. It's great to see you too. Any suggestions for advertising for new fiction novel? Facebook, Amazon. Well, I will tell you, it's a great time to advertise on Amazon, especially for fiction. A lot of people are buying gifts right now, so it's a good time to run keyword ads on Amazon. Also, I really recommend you guys, everyone, not everyone, a lot of people will be getting gift cards to Barnes and Noble and Amazon and Kindle for Christmas. They will also be getting e-readers. Ebooks fly off the metaphorical shelves around the 24th of December through the first week in January. Everyone's got these new devices. They're looking for books. They've got gift cards. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and do some ad spend on Amazon and you run some keyword ads on Amazon the week of Christmas through the week of New Year's. Super smart to do. Generally, we see a big lift in sales. They're going to be looking for books anyway. You might as well put your book in front of them before the other 3 million books that are online. So absolutely Amazon. Facebook is also very popular for fiction. I think that's a good way to go. We have found a lot of success when we either do a short video trailer or if we do you can do the book cover, but what we have found that people are less likely to click on an ad that is just the book cover, and they are more likely to click on something that is a picture that kind of depicts it. So if you have, let's say, a Christmas romance, instead of doing your book cover, if you find a stock photo, which Amazon does offer them, you can go from Pixabay, all sorts of places, and if you do that, you can just get a stock picture of, I don't know, something Christmassy, something that's kind of feels like romance at Christmas, and then you do your description and you link to your Amazon page. I don't know why exactly, but those pictures seem to get more attention than a book cover, and I've seen a lot more clicks that way. So Facebook and Amazon are both excellent options if you have a book that you are the ebook is low in price. Let's say it's 99 cents to 2.99. BookBub ads are great. We are seeing some movement there. It seems like some of the audience is shifting there. Definitely people are on BookBub because they're looking for discount books. So if you have a 9.99 ebook, BookBug probably not the place to advertise. You may get clicks, but then people aren't going to really purchase because they're looking for discount ebooks. So that's something to consider as you go out and you advertise. All right, Rich, I see that you raised your hand, and if you have questions, again, just type them in the chat box, type them into the Q&A, and we'll get those answered for you. Oh, good, Wendy. I'm glad that was helpful. All right, what's the difference between a regular barcode and a price barcode, and when do you use them? Great question. So a regular barcode is just a barcode that does not have the price in it. If you have a price barcode, and I don't have a book sitting right next to me or else I'd show you, if you have a price barcode, it's got the barcode, same thing as always, but in the bottom right-hand corner, it has your price on it. So that way, if a bookstore or anyone who knows about barcodes is looking, how much do I price this book? Let's say it's on an independent bookstore shelves and, you know, they don't have price tags on their books. That looks sloppy. So if they just have them on the shelves, if it's got a price barcode on it, you can flip the book around and you can see what the price is and you can tell your customer. It's just one of those things that you should generally have anytime you're doing retail sales. If it's a gift store, if it's a bookstore, you need to have that price barcode. When you are doing, let's say, Amazon covers, you probably do not want a price barcode. And the reason being is that you can easily change your price if you want to. And if you're doing Amazon, it's going straight to the customer anyway, so they don't really need the price barcode for resale. It never really hurts to have a price barcode everywhere, but you especially want to make sure that you have it for retail sales, which generally for self-published authors is when you are uploading to Ingram Spark. All right, Rich is asking, I need help establishing my brand. Well, Rich, I would say that you really need to do a couple things to establish your brand. You need to know who your audience is and how you want to reach them. Not only that, but you need to know what you are going to offer them. So when you're establishing your brand, it's important that you know who you're trying to reach and that you market to those people. Let's say that you are trying to reach teens. You're trying to reach 13 to 17-year-olds. Well, you're probably not going to have the same design aesthetic as you would if you're trying to reach retirees. So it's important that you know who your audience is and that you are making sure that you are going for their sensibilities, not your own. Just because you like something doesn't mean your audience will, and you are not your audience in most cases. So, when establishing your brand, you need to find your audience, you need to find out what they like, and then you need to create your brand around that. The colors should be consistent. You should have some type of idea of, I mean, maybe you've got rainbow colors and that's your theme. Maybe your theme is orange and white. Maybe your theme overall is neutral tones. I think it's important that when you're establishing a brand that you have some type of color cohesion so that when people see the setup or the colors of your website, of your cover on your cover picture on Facebook or Twitter, that they automatically think, oh, that's Rich. So I think it's important that you do that. And then I think it's also important that as you start putting yourself out there on websites and social media, and let's say you're blogging or podcasting, that you are consistent with the message that you're bringing. So maybe you do fiction and you're just super excited to talk about sci-fi. Maybe you're a self-help author and you are constantly talking about self-care and ways to really de-stress and that kind of thing. You need to make sure that you're on point, and that you're either offering value in those arenas or that you are, talking about yourself and what you offer in that arena. But it's important to be consistent. I hope that helps you out there. All right, Sue just sent me a couple of questions, so let's go through them. I have questions about book workbooks. I have a series of 120-page workbooks with about 1/3 to 1/2 worksheets. All right, where on the book or description do I need to state that the book is a workbook? For example, it's not my title nor subtitle, but just under the subtitle on the back of the book. Is this acceptable? Um, it's acceptable, but I think that you may get pushback from customers. Generally, people who are looking for a workbook are specifically looking for a workbook. If someone thinks that they are buying a book that's got 120 pages of straight reading, they will end up leaving you very nasty reviews because they will feel ripped off. I think it's important that when you do it, it either be in the subtitle, or it be in the title. If you have not done that, if you've already published and it's just not in the title or subtitle, I would make sure it's in your description. Put it front and center. This workbook will help you, and then make sure that you mention that it's got areas for writing, or it's got areas that you can actively work in. I think that's very important that we tell our customers what they're getting, so that not only are we helping them find what they want, but also to make sure that we are delivering on our promises. Number two, I was going to mention the series name and term workbook in the parentheses, which you can add on Amazon titles areas such as my series workbook. Is this correct? You can absolutely do that. Yep, I think that's a good way, a workaround if you've already done the title. So if it's, say, Help Yourself Today, and then you put Help Yourself Today workbook, that's totally cool. And if so, how do you deal with this when you also want to publish to Ingram Spark? How receptive are bookstores and indies to accepting workbooks like the programs New Shelves offers? Um, I think workbooks have a very special niche. I think for sure libraries do not want them. They do not want people trying to write in their books. So libraries are not a good fit. As far as bookstores, it just depends. If it's a bookstore that is very much niche and it has a lot of self-help, it's got a lot of that kind of thing, they may be interested. But a workbook can be a hard sell into indie bookstores. So I think that you're probably better off trying to find bookstores that cater to people looking for your type of book and reaching out. Um, but that's just my gut feeling. I think you'd have to really research a little bit more to know for sure what your book offers and how widely it may be used or wanted or needed. So without knowing everything about your book, it's really hard to say, but that's my gut feel there, Sue. All right, let's go back to a couple of our email questions. All right. Oops. Oop. Man, I've got a lot more coming in, so let's make sure we hit them for you. All right. Okay. Do, do, do. Okay, so this sounds like I have a problem with Ingram Spark. How do I get in touch with them? I want to call them. So here's the thing. Most places, including Ingram Spark and KDP, are not super set up for calls. They are meant to send in emails. That helps them track the work they're doing, and it helps you track the work. So the best way to get in touch with Ingram Spark if you are having a problem is to email them. I know they have a contact on their webpage. If you email them, they will get back to you, I promise. It may take a day or two, but that is a really great way. They do send you transcripts. And I would say that's probably the best way to keep in touch with Ingram Spark. I know people like to have a phone number, but I don't think people realize how small the actual customer service staff at Ingram Spark is. If they were on the phones all day, they would never get all of the emails done, and they can respond much more quickly and efficiently on email, which is why they push people that way. So I know that people often want a quick answer, they want a phone answer, but email really is the best way. So I'd encourage you to just go with that and email them if you're having a hard time reaching Ingram Spark or you need to reach them. All right, that one's from Wendy, and we already answered it. All right, timeline and book reviews. This is a great one. All right. You indicated I should send to reviewers in December and launch mid-January. However, that does mean it will be available for pre-selling as I have to have my KDP account set up, but I read somewhere that you shouldn't pre-sell your book any longer. All right. So when you are doing a book launch, there all of this new information and what's happening or not happening with Amazon and pre-sales and reviews. So let's just take a look at it. When you are launching your book, you do want to have your reviewers ready to go. If you have people ready to review your book, you want to have them reading your book before your launch. You don't want to give them your book on review day and then have them read it, because then they won't be reviewing it for several weeks. And it really is helpful to get some reviews going up the day or two after your book goes up. So we highly recommend that you share your book, whether it be paperbacks or you're using a service like Book Connect or Book Funnel to get them a ebook, a Mobi, or a PDF so that they can read it early. Generally, we recommend that time frame around 3 weeks before launch. However, if you were going for a January launch, I would be sending your book out now. The reason being is that it's right around the holidays, especially if your book is not a once it read like a novel. They need time to read it. And if it's around the holidays, it's probably going to be pushed to the back burner, or it's something they're going to take a little bit longer to read. So if you have a January book coming out, I would be getting your review copies out right now. As far as actually posting reviews, you cannot post a review until the book is live on Amazon. Doesn't matter if it's for pre-sale, they cannot post a review until the book is live. What many of our clients do is they will go ahead and they will make the ebook live very quietly, not announcing it, not advertising, but make their ebook live a week or two before the paperback goes live and before their official launch, so that their review teams, the people who've asked for review copies, can post the review a week or two before the paperback goes live. If that works for you, it's a great option. However, if that doesn't work for you, I would just hold off. I would have all of your files uploaded, but not make them live. So you already know if there's a problem in the upload, if the cover doesn't match the spine and you need something changed. upload all of your files so you don't have to worry about that, but don't approve them to be published until, let's say, 2 or 3 days before your launch date. That way you've got everything chambered up and ready to go. It's a little less stress when you are launching, but you're it's just kind of the best way to go. I think with print on demand, it's not as seamless as we would sometimes like it to be. We'd like to be able to say, oh, it'll be out on this day and no problems. But that's not kind of how it works. As for pre-sale, Amazon pre-sales are not something we recommend any longer. Not for right now anyway, because Amazon could easily change it tomorrow or today. But as of today, which is December 6th, 2019, I would say do not do a pre-sale on Amazon. The reason being is that if your book goes up on Amazon and you don't get a lot of attention, it tells Amazon algorithms no one wants your book. They're not interested, and it starts to just kind of it loses the ranking and algorithm, which means that when people are searching for your book or your topic, it starts to just be seen less and less. Not only that, but it used to be with Amazon when you were doing a pre-sale, it would chamber up all your sales, and then when the book went live, suddenly all those sales would hit. You could hit bestseller lists, and it was amazing. That is not the case any longer. What happens now is those sales count as they come in. And so you lose the chance of, if you absolutely know that you have a list of 150 people that really are going to be interested in your book. And if you send them newsletter and if you let them know on social media, they're going on launch day to go buy your book, then you would lose all that if you do a pre-sale, because they would be trickling in, and then you would absolutely miss the big push on your launch day, which could put you up to a bestseller status on Amazon and elsewhere. So we don't recommend it any longer as of right now. I hope that answered the question, Wendy, but if there is any clarification needed, just let me know in the chat box or the Q&A. All right. And Denise says, follow-up of the advertising question on Amazon, which you've never done. Do you have any details, info on your blog? We do have quite a few articles on the blog on Amazon and advertising. I know I've written a couple, and so if you go to newshelves.com and you search the blog, just search Amazon or advertising or ads, and they will pop up. We highly recommend that you do the keyword search ads, not the ads that are like the banner ads that go up at the top or the ad that goes to the side. And here's why. Those ads look like ads. They look like paid ads, which obviously people use and they're somewhat effective, but they don't look natural. It looks like you paid to be there. And we have found them less effective than the keyword search ads. And the keyword search ads is where you find keywords for your book that are appropriate either for your book, the genre, the audience that you want to hit, and you put those keywords into a box, and every time someone searches using one of those keywords, you can bid. Basically, it's all done by algorithm and computers, but you bid on a spot in that search. And so what happens is, instead of being on the 100th page naturally from a search, let's say you're doing a self-help book on weight loss. So if one of your keywords is weight loss, if you pay to be in a sponsored ad and the weight loss word is searched, you can make it usually somewhere between the first and the third search page. People reasonably will go through 1 to 3 pages when they're searching for something. If you do not pay to play, if you are just naturally in the algorithm, especially if your book has not seen a lot of sales on Amazon for the natural algorithms to hit, what happens is your book will easily be on, let's say, the 100th search page. I don't know about you, but not too many people, myself included, are going to go through 100 pages of searches to get to something. Usually they find what they're looking for, they get bored around the 10th page. So it's a nice way to boost that. As far as keywords, we use some great programs. I personally like KDP Rocket. If you are a part of Apex Authors, which is a community for authors, I know they have a tool. twinwords.com can pull up keywords. So there's lots of different options. And also the best, absolute best keywords are your comp authors and their titles. So that's a good way to pull up keywords. And Amazon allows you to do up to 1,000 keywords when you're doing ads. And I highly, highly recommend you max that number out. I think it's important that you use every single opportunity you have to get your book in front of people. And every keyword is an opportunity, so don't waste them. Let's see here. All right, review follow-up. I don't understand how the reviews get uploaded from the reviewer during the pre-launch phase. You said they can go up till the book is live. Do we collect? No, you do not collect the reviews and upload them yourselves. Amazon will not let you do that. So what you do is if you have a professional review, let's say your book is on psychology and you have a very well-known psychology professor give you a review, that could go up on an editorial review for sure. However, if these are just your average reader and you're looking for like the starred Amazon reviews, they would have to put them up after the book launches. So what we generally do is if someone takes the book, let's say three weeks in advance, and they are looking, they're reading the book, what we do is generally you have their email address, and then when the book is live, you email them and say, the book is now live. I hope you loved the book. If you did, please go share your review. And then that way they can go do it. Not everyone will. It's one of those tricky things because some people will be like, oh, I read it 3 weeks ago. I don't remember it anymore. But many people will. So that's a good way to hit people. And that is also why some people put their ebook live in advance so that they can have people leave reviews as they read and they're not hoping to catch them after the fact. So it's kind of a dicey game, but that's the best way we've found to do that, Sue. Let's see. Here's another email. Let me read through here. All right. Oh, nope, that's one we already had for the book distribution, so we're good there. Some of these I'm actually getting doubles. Okay. Okay, I think we may have answered this one, but just in case, let's go through it anyway. Someone emailed in and said they came across our information for New Shelves on Facebook and they were interested in learning about services and just asking about if our distribution options can be applied to small press publishing as well as indie publishing. Does it only work for self-published authors? No, absolutely not. So the way that we train people and our goal here at New Shelves is not just to help self-published authors, although we do a lot of that. And we have a special place in our heart for self-published authors and indie authors. So absolutely works there. But we also work with many small presses where publishers are kind of learning the same thing because a lot of small presses, some will do offset printing, some will do print on demand. So I think it's important that you know all of your options so you can check out and see what options are best for you, what profits your company the most. So it can work for small press also. However, if you are an author of a small press publisher, you do not necessarily have the rights to put some of these things in play. Amazon ads, you cannot go in if you don't own the book on KDP, you cannot run the ad. So unless you have like a really big account like New Shelves does, but that you pay for that every year. So not many people do that. But so you can certainly learn, and if you are a small press publisher, you can put these things into play, or if you're a small press author, you may be learning things on Free Advice Friday or from our blog that you would really be interested in implementing, and then you are empowered and you know what's going on, so you can go to your small press publisher and ask them if they would run Amazon ads, ask them if they would be what your discount is on Ingram and that sort of thing. So it can help empower you to know what it is, because even though publishers are fantastic and they generally handle a lot of things, authors still need to know their craft. They need to know about book marketing, because without it, it's just a trust cycle where they are kind of blindly trusting things. But you have to empower yourself to take care of your own book. So it's really important that you educate yourself not only on writing and what an author should do, but also educate yourself on the book marketing industry as a whole. And that's what helps make you successful. New Shelves does work with some authors that are really big. We're talking New York Times bestsellers, and even they are doing marketing for themselves. They have big publishers, you guys, and the publishers do a lot of things. They do bookstores. They do go into libraries, but in today's market, in today's world, authors, no matter if they are small published, indie published, or traditionally published from a big house, they still have to market their book, because that's how you get more and more deals. That's how you get new contracts, and that is how you get good contracts. So it's important that you're in the game no matter who your publisher is. So I recommend 1,000 keywords. Sounds like a lot, but if you use the tools that I mentioned, um, you can certainly hit that no problem. 1,000 is the most that Amazon allows, and I recommend you use them all. Yes, Wendy. KDP Rocket is now KDP Publisher. Sorry, I've been using it for a long time, but they did update and they added some new things. So it's KDP Publisher now. And still a great, great program. I super love it. There's even a blog on our website about all the updates where I talked about KDP Publisher. So thank you for that correction there. All right. All right, finding bookstores to schedule book-related events unless a book is listed by Ingram, but Ingram wants a marketing plan that includes what bookstore events you have scheduled, sort of a catch-22. Well, Susan, I would ask, are you trying to get into Ingram with offset print books by yourself, or are you trying to get into Ingram through print on demand with Ingram Spark or through a book distributor? That's a big question for me. If you are doing Ingram Spark for print on demand to get into, okay, you've got offset printing. Here's the thing, to get into Ingram for a small publisher or a self-published author with offset print books is really hard. You have to be selling like 10,000 copies a year. If you don't hit that, they are not very likely to approve your book to go into their wholesale system. The best way for self-published and small published authors to move their books in offset printing is to go through a book distributor. This book distributor has a relationship with the wholesalers like Ingram and Baker and Taylor and Brodart. And what they do is they use their big relationship to get your book into those wholesalers. It's not free. There is a charge. You do have to pay the book distributor to house your books and to take care of all those contracts. However, it's a great investment if you're doing offset printing. We personally use Pathways in the US and we like them a lot, but there are all sorts of distributors around the world, in Canada and the UK. But that is something I would strongly recommend you look into. If you have offset print books and you don't have thousands and thousands of verified sales, check into that and see if the cost makes sense for you to move your books. Hi, Linda. Could you say the name of those keyword places again and how they work? Where do you put the 1,000 keywords on Amazon, comp author keywords, etc.? All right, Linda. So it's KDP Publisher, which is a paid, it's a paid program. I use it all the time. I highly recommend it, but it depends on how often you are running keywords and ads to know if it's worth it to you. Twin Words is another one. And then you can also go to Yasiv, YASIV.com. And Yasiv is a Amazon affiliated website where if you type in a book title, it will pull out a web of books and titles and authors that are associated with that book on Amazon because of sales. So let's say we type in Clive Cussler. It is going to pull up hundreds of other books that people have bought when they were looking for Clive Cussler books. So that immediately lets us know these are great comp authors and comp titles, which makes them great keywords. Comp authors is someone that either writes books like yours or they're trying to reach the same audience you are. So maybe you have a self-help book that's all about hitting rock bottom and then, pulling yourself together and pushing forward. So you might think of some books that are like that are really go get 'em, but you may not think that the people who are reading books like that are also reading books about EFT tapping. They're also reading books about meditation. So even though the book isn't apples to apples, the audience is. So it's important when you're pulling keywords that you don't just look at comp authors and comp titles that are exactly like yours, but you are finding your audience and you are targeting your audience. And yes, you pull about 1,000 keywords, and when you are running ads, you go to ams.amazon.com, and that is the Amazon Marketing Services, which is where you can run ads. It's connected to your KDP account. You can run ads for books that you have up in your own KDP, and then you run those ads and you can see the sales. Highly recommend that if you are self-published that you look into Amazon ads. It's such a great way to boost your book and get some more sales and make sure that your book isn't lost on Amazon with the millions of books that are on there. All right, can you suggest any good book distributors located on the West Coast or Midwest? Not off of the top of my head, to be honest, Susan. I know that we've looked at them. We just always end up with Pathways because they're the best fit for us. But if you do search, there are plenty out there. There are big distributors. There are small book distributors. Um, so yes, they are absolutely all over. I would do a Google search. If you find one that you think might be a good fit, call them, ask them some questions, look up reviews online, and that is what I would suggest. And yes, Rich, it is snowing. You can see we are in Rochester, New York, and we are getting some snowfall. I think we're supposed to get about a foot by the end of the night. But I don't know. It changes every 5 minutes, no big deal. All right, let me make sure that we got all the email questions. And if you have any more questions, put them in the Q&A or the chat box, and we will get them answered. Let's see. I think we got all of the email questions. Let me check Facebook. So many places to go. All right, I'm going to check Facebook on my phone because that's just easier for me. All right. Oh. All right, Wendy is asking, any insight on Amazon's Eagle Eye on including links in our ebooks? I hear they are targeting lots of authors and taking their books offline. That's a really great question, Wendy. So this is actually becoming more of a thing across the board. When you put links inside your book, Amazon and Apple iBooks and other ebook retailers are starting to notice. Let's put it that way. So what's happening is I just had recently a client who had an ebook, and in her ebook, she recommended several. It's a holistic medicine. It's called the Alternative by Elena Upton. If you are into alternative medicine and natural ways to kind of take care of your health, it's an awesome book. I have it on my phone as a reference and use it all the time. So if you are into that, go check it out. But anyway, in her book, she does link to certain products that she strongly recommends, that she uses. And what happened is because some of those links where you could buy them, and she's not getting a kickback on it, but she wanted to include them, are on Amazon. So what happened is that when she went to Draft to Digital and she uploaded her ebook, iBooks would not take the book. Apple iBooks would not take the book because it had a link to Amazon, who is their competitor. Um, so she either had to remove those links that went to Amazon or not be published on iBooks. Amazon is doing the same thing. If you have links in your book that link to Amazon, sometimes they let them slide, but if you have links in your book that are live links that go to other places, they may pull your book down. It's one of those things, as often is the case with Amazon, where sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, depends on if they catch you. But you do have to be very careful about putting live links in your ebooks. It's just kind of the nature of the game. I think retailers are paying more and more attention to whether or not a book or a product on their website is pointing to another retailer, and that's really what it is. That was the problem with Elena's book on iBooks, is they didn't want to then point people to Amazon where they might lose some business. That's what's happening on Amazon also. So when you are linking in your book, it's I have not necessarily seen a problem if it's going to something that's not sales, like if you're referencing a study and you're pointing people there. But if you're pointing to another retailer, I have seen books come down. So I think that's something to be mindful and careful about as you go through. Amazon is also taking down books if the links to citing sources end up changing without your knowledge, if the link doesn't work for the reader. That is absolutely correct. And that's part of them trying to make sure that they have active, non-spammy books on their site. So you do have to be careful, especially when you're citing other places. Now, it's one thing if you do not have an active link. If you have a link in your ebook that cites a reference that someone could copy and paste in, you're not going to get flagged. But if you have live links, it may get pulled down. And if that happens, guys, honestly, it's pretty easy to make that link not live and re-upload your book, or to update the link and put it back in. I know it's a pain for sure, but it's not that hard. They are not going to not allow your book up ever. They are just asking for you to correct your book. So as long as you don't have erroneous links in there, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if they do send you that email, just correct it. It's not the end of the world. Correct it and get your book back up as soon as you can. And I think, see if we've got any more here on Amazon. I think that, or on Amazon, my goodness, on Facebook. I think that is all of the questions on Facebook. I'm going to check the Q&A box one more time. All right, and that one's all done. So unless you guys have any more questions, it's been a great time with you guys. I love that you all come in and you have so many great questions. It makes us always stay on top of our game and constantly researching and looking for what's happening in the industry. So thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you for joining us on Free Advice Friday. Amy will be back next week. I know she's in New York City this week, and I'm in New York City next week for Pitch Fest. So we're kind of taking turns. Oh, Denise, don't even worry about it. You are just fine. Oh, Sue is asking, for our workbooks in ebook format, do we just remove the lines and leave a blank area, or remove that too? If you're doing an ebook, I've seen it both ways. I've seen people remove the blank areas, or I've seen people leave the area. Let me go back. I've seen people remove the area and say, they usually put some type of disclaimer in the front, you will want a notebook so you can follow along and write things down. And then when it gets to the spot where they would usually have the lines, they say, pull out your notebook and journal about XYZ. I've also seen it where people leave in the lines, but they make sure it's only a couple, knowing that people are not really going to be writing in the ebook, but it is a prompt for them to write in their side journal, whatever it is. So I've seen both options, and I think they both work just fine. I think workbooks in general aren't going to be a popular ebook. It's so easy to do. I recommend that you do have the ebook available, but it's probably not going to be the most popular format for a workbook. All right, you guys, I think we're good for today. Again, thank you for joining me. My name is Keri Barnum. I am the marketing director for New Shelves, and Amy will be back next week for Free Advice Friday. Please feel free to join us at 10 a.m. Eastern on Zoom. We also try to make sure we get up on Facebook Live, and you can always, always, always email in your Free Advice Friday questions to info, at newshelves.com, and we save those and answer them every Friday. So thank you guys so much and have a fantastic Friday. Bye bye.